Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we are talking about Manchester United's new midfielder. That's right, United actually have a new midfielder, of course, Sofyan Amrabat, who signed for the club the other day. We broke the news live on stream and kind of gave our initial thoughts, our initial reaction. Today I want to talk more about his strengths and weaknesses as a player, but more importantly, how I think he will change United from a tactical point of view. Because I think this is a really good signing. I think it's a really important signing for Manchester United. And the main reason that I think it's such a good signing is because there's been a disconnect in the United team in the opening 2 or 3 weeks of the season. So it's felt at times that like we've got 5 defensive players and then 5 forward players. And it's felt like there's been that real disconnect in the team. Casemiro has been incredibly isolated both in and out of possession. Now, it was improved a little bit last week when Christian Eriksen came into the side. That certainly went some way to addressing it because he wasn't pushing as high as Mason Mount, dropping a little bit deeper. But I still think there was still a bit of a disconnect. I think Sofyan Amrabat could come in and change that, and we could see a return to that 4-2-3-1 from last season. Something like this. And this, from a tactical point of view, could solve a lot of United's problems. But one of the main reasons why it could solve a lot of problems is because Amrabat is such a good player on the ball. He's such a good technical player. Now, in terms of the first phase, he's good at making himself available for the pass. He's not someone who's static and just kind of stands about. He'll move into different positions to make sure he's not marked to receive the ball. From these positions, he isn't press resistant. He's not a Frankie de Jong or a Bernardo Silva in that way. But he's still pretty technically secure, more so than someone like Casemiro or Rafael Varane, for example, currently involved in that build-up structure. So I think he will be better at protecting the ball. He's also going to be a lot better at keeping the ball for United. I don't need to go over it, but we will cover it just again. Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, Christian Eriksen, they all look to play forward very quickly. Amrabat doesn't do that. He takes his time on the ball, and this is what I've been crying out for months and months and months. I think in match coverage videos since January, I've been saying United need a midfielder to slow it down a little bit and take their time. Amrabat is exactly that, and you can see it in these numbers here. Passes attempted, the 98th percentile. Pass completion, the 99th percentile. You can't get much better than that, really. What more could you ask for? Now, what I like there is not only is his pass completion high, but it's a high volume of passes as well. Meaning that he is a player who wants to be involved. He wants to dictate the tempo of a game. And then we can see, obviously, looking further down, in terms of completing his short passes, the 95th percentile, medium, the 99th percentile, and long passes, the 99th percentile. So, he's clearly just a ridiculously good passer, sorry. What I'm more interested in, though, for today, because I think we all know that already, is where's he going to be playing these passes from for United? Because we've seen him play as a solo 6 before. So, for example, not alongside someone like Casemiro. So you could take Casemiro out and maybe bring Eriksen back in. It could be something like this. We've seen him play as a left or right-sided midfielder in a 3 before, under Erik ten Hag earlier on in his career. So we could see something like that. But like I've said already, I do think the 4-2-3-1 is the most likely for a few different reasons. One of the reasons is it gives United potentially in deep phases an extra player to build up possession with. We were talking about that disconnect between the defence and the attacking setup. Amrabat can be that connection point because of his good passing, because of his good positional sense, his ability to occasionally carry the ball forward. He could be that link player between the two, if you like. But also, I think he has the potential to drop really deep all the way into the defence at times. Now, if you cast your mind back to pre-season, there was a game against Arsenal, I believe it was, where Kobe Mainoo was playing in midfield, but in possession, pretty much every time United got the ball, Kobe Mainoo would drop out into this position here, and then a different midfielder would come in here. Now, this is something which Amrabat loves doing. Amrabat loves to drop wide of the defence. Now, would he do it on this side or on the left-hand side? I'm not too sure. But Amrabat is definitely someone who could be happy to drop in and create this back 3 shape. Then maybe you have someone like Dalot on the left-hand side, for example, who we know is right-footed, so would want to invert. Could he invert from this position? And do you then maybe push a fullback further forward? Something like that. This is something that we could see United doing, thanks to having Amrabat in the side. And like I said, his safe passing, his ability to keep the ball and not force it forward, allowing United to build possession, build momentum, sustain pressure. There's a whole host of benefits of having a good retention midfielder in your side. There's also potential for different shapes as well. For example, Amrabat is the sort of player which can play as a solo 6, holding the midfield together. So perhaps in this situation, Casemiro would be the one who drops deeper. Perhaps in quote, easier games, Dalot pushes a little bit further forward, and we see something a bit more like this, where Amrabat's kind of holding the midfield together in this position. There's also potential for more of a 3-2 shape, with both Amrabat and Casemiro in the midfield, where now someone like Wan-Bissaka is going to drop a little bit deeper. Now, this could especially work with someone like Reguilon coming into the club. Now, I said in my stream the other day and in my video yesterday that I'm not too sure kind of naturally how he fits in. However, having someone like Amrabat in midfield who is happy to play this deeper role does kind of make a little bit of sense, because this means that Reguilon can now push forward with Amrabat and Lisandro Martinez covering these areas. Marcus Rashford comes inside, and that actually looks like quite a good attacking setup, and you've got a real good balance there. You've got defensive ability in his first line here, but you've also got ability to progress the ball with Lisandro Martinez and Victor Lindelof. You've got Amrabat being your retention player, the one who's going to keep it ticking over, putting less pressure on Casemiro, making sure he gets less of the ball, but that's not a bad thing. That's going to suit his game completely. You've got attacking players in these areas. It really could work quite nicely as a setup. Now, the other thing which is important in terms of Amrabat being a connection point for the team is, yes, he keeps it safe. Yes, he keeps the ball for his side. His pass completion is in the 99th percentile. But he also can be progressive as well, and I think that's super important. Because it's okay keeping the ball sideways like this, but when it comes to actually breaking a team down or even quickly playing in transition, you do have to move the ball forward. You can't always play it slowly. But if we go back to that FB report and look towards the bottom there, progressive passes the 98th percentile with 9.61 progressive passes per 90, which is a very, very impressive number. But also passes into the final third, the 98th percentile, with 9.27 per 90, which shows that Amrabat isn't just a player who's going to keep it safe and sideways. When he needs to, he can play the ball forward. And that's what I like about this so much. It's his intelligence. Because, like I said, Casemiro can play the ball forward, Bruno Fernandes can, Mason Mount can, Christian Eriksen can. But it's the understanding of when it's best to do so. That's what Amrabat has more. He knows sometimes I need to keep it safe, sometimes I need to keep it sideways. But at times I do need to kind of flick the switch, increase the tempo, play it through the lines. And he's very capable of doing that as well. Also though, something to keep an eye out for, and this is something which is kind of completely going under the radar a little bit, is crosses into the penalty area, the 82nd percentile. Now, it's not necessarily a massive part of his game, and I don't think that will change at Old Trafford. I don't think we're going to see him chucking loads of crosses into the box. But there could definitely be situations where if United at times maybe rotate to a bit more of a diamond in the middle like this, and Amrabat is able to get forward, maybe look out for some crosses into the box, particularly with Rasmus Højlund up front. Or maybe it could come from the other side. Something like this. Crossing the ball into the box is something that Amrabat could do from these half spaces. Like I said, it's not a big part of his game. It's not really a key asset of the way he plays. But again, it's something he could do. Obviously, the other question we've got in terms of positionally is, if we think he's going to play alongside Casemiro, the next question is, to what side of Casemiro does he play? If it was a direct Christian Eriksen or Mason Mount replacement, you'd suggest it in a double pivot like this, to the left-hand side, pushing Bruno Fernandes high like that. But there's every chance we could see it the other way around as well. Because at the moment, United's right-hand side isn't great at progressing the ball, whereas the left-hand side is actually pretty decent. Maybe if you put Amrabat on the right-hand side, it kind of aids this area of play. Because currently what teams are doing is forcing United to the right-hand side, where they've got normally Raphael Varane and Wan-Bissaka, who aren't as good on the ball. Plus you've got Casemiro dropping in here. Teams are using that as a pressing trigger. Maybe Amrabat could go some way to kind of helping that, relieving that pressure, and improving the ball playing ability. So again, there's plenty of different options for Erik ten Hag. And I would imagine we'll almost never get a true answer as such, because it will probably change on a game-to-game basis. I think there will be situations where he's probably a solo 6, especially in cup games, to rest Casemiro. But I also think there will be times when he plays in a 4-2-3-1, a 4-3-3. I think it will change. So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order. Now I think whatever the dynamic in the midfield might be, or however the rotation will work, I think one thing we're all pretty confident about is not only is Amrabat going to improve this side on the ball, but defensively as well, he should be a big help. And the main reason for that isn't because individually he's the best ball-winning midfielder we've ever seen. He's pretty good, but it's not even that. It's just the fact that he'll play deeper than Mason Mount or Bruno Fernandes. And he will provide support, basically, and cover for Casemiro. Like I said right at the start, at the moment it's felt a bit like kind of a defensive 5 and the attacking 5, and there's no connection. Amrabat, again, will provide that connection. He'll get around Casemiro. He'll help him win the ball back. He's got really good work rate. His mobility is very good. He's not the fastest player in the world, but he covers a lot of ground. He gets about the pitch quite well. He's good on the tackle. He's nice and strong. So I think alongside Casemiro, that could work really nicely. I'd be surprised if we see him as the only holding midfielder in a, quote, big game away from home against an Arsenal or Manchester City, because I don't think he quite has the ball-winning ability to do that by himself against the best teams. But alongside Casemiro, absolutely he is capable of that. And that could be a really nice little double pivot in there, where perhaps now Casemiro, when United lose the ball, has that freedom to go and be aggressive on the first touch. Go and get in the counter press, knowing that he's got Amrabat a little bit deeper providing cover for him. And again, it's not about Amrabat's defensive ability even as such. It's more about his positioning, his reading of the play, his understanding of where he needs to be. Now, of course, importantly, what we need to say about Amrabat is it's going to take time for him to adapt to this, because the pace and the tempo in the Premier League and the physicality is very different to the Serie A. Now, Serie A is a physical league, but the Premier League's physical in a different way, and that will take time for him to adjust. He won't get quite as much time on the ball as what he did, say, in the Conference League final last year. It will be very different. He'll come under much more pressure. And simply by being at United with a lot of expectation, he'll come under a lot more scrutiny than what he has in the past. So it's important that he's given time. Personally, though, I think he has earned patience from the fans, really, because we've all seen how patient he has been over summer. That he's wanted to join the club since whenever it was. He's been waiting since the end of June, just sitting there saying, I'm not going anywhere else, I only want United. That's a good thing to have. A player which desperately wants to play for your football club is huge. Now he's earned himself, like I said, in my opinion, a little bit of patience from the fans. Is he going to hit the ground running? I don't know. He might well do. He might take a bit of time. He might kind of be somewhere in the middle. He might be really poor. Whatever it is, though, I would just give him a bit of time to adapt to the league, to the new style of football under Erik ten Hag, to his teammates around him. And I think you will see this could be genuinely a really, really very important player to Manchester United. I think there's the chance that he could become one of United's most important outfield players, simply because he thinks on a different wavelength to what most of the others do. Now, that's obviously going to go one of two ways. It's going to work really well, or it's not going to work at all. Hopefully, and I think it will work really, really well. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you make of Amrabat? What are his biggest strengths and most important strengths to United? What's a side of his game which you're perhaps a little bit worried about? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But apart from that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.